Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Random Encounters, my weekly improv cartooning show where I use random encounter tables, like the kind you find in tabletop role-playing games such as Dungeons and Dragons, and together with don't you wish you could do take two? Random encounter tables and a die rolling app to randomly pick a subject, a who, and a situation, a what. And I take those two, put them together, and I draw a cartoon of it. All for your entertainment and mine. The point of this show is that drawing's fun. And that's it developed out of this thing I do sometimes when I'm looking to get an idea. I don't know what it is. I randomly throw two things together and draw it. Not just for work. Sometimes just because I'm looking for a fun thing to draw. And that's how we all got here. Believe it or not, this is episode 63? 63 weeks. Well over a year we've been doing this on Thursday nights. And I'm still here because I love it. It's a lot of fun. I hope that you will join me. I hope that you will grab your favorite pen and paper or electronic drawing instrument like I use here. I'm on the show here using my Apple iPad Pro and an Apple Pencil and the app Procreate. I say these things not because I'm sponsored, because I'm not, though I'd love to be. Give me a call, sponsors. Not because, as I say it, not because I'm sponsored, but because people ask, and I want you to know what I'm using. You can all have the same thing too, but you don't need it. Just a little notebook or a piece of loose leaf paper and a ballpoint pen. That's how I do most of my sketching and ideating, as they say, coming up with ideas for cartoons. I use my sorry, something weird just happened on my the app I use to stream this, and it caught my attention. So that's all I use, and that's all you really need to use. That's everything I learned about drawing. I got from a ballpoint pen and a piece of notebook paper. So, my permission for you to do the same. Hello, Becky. How are you? It is not on Facebook tonight. It's not on Facebook tonight? Really? It's supposed to be on Facebook. Well, I can't really look into that while I'm streaming. So I'll have to look into it after I finish streaming. For those of you who like to watch on Facebook and are only finding this later or are coming in on YouTube, as Becky seems to be, sorry about that. I don't know how that happened. It was supposed to be on Facebook, but it's not there, or so it is reported. Sorry. So, yeah, every once in a while, technical problems pop up, and you do what you can to overcome them. I'm trying to think if there's anything I can do right now, and there really isn't. So, onward we go. Time to switch over. I'm going to switch the scenes here so you can see what's going on my iPad. These are our encounter tables for the evening. And I'm going to start right now. I'm going to come on over here to my die roller. And we're going to start generating who's and what's. Who's and what's is. Right, once or twice a third time. One is our first who, and once or twice a third time. No, come on. Once or twice a third time. Two, one and two. Gets us a gelatinous cube and and a bank robbery. All right. Well, for those who don't know, a gelatinous cube is a monster from Dungeons and Dragons, which is basically just a big square of jelly-like material, gelatinous, just what it sounds like, jelly-like, and it's a weird creature that in the biome of Dungeons and Dragons. So it's just like a big cube like that, but you can see through it, and it moves through a dungeon, through a cave or a dungeon, and eats whatever it picks up, anything that moves in there. So you will often have like bones and armor left floating in it. Sometimes weapons. It doesn't dissolve metal; it dissolves all flesh, and it just oozes its way slowly through a dungeon, inch by inch. It's one of the things in Dungeons and Dragons that make it challenging is it's difficult to see in a low light condition like you find in dungeons. So that's what it is. But our challenge here, therefore, is to have a, a gelatinous cube doing a bank robbery, bank robbery, random oddities, low level creature. Um, just came on Facebook. Oh, so it's turned on Facebook. Okay, good, good. If that solved itself, then I won't need to worry about it. But all right, so we're gonna need this sketch here. Right, I'll start small. Doesn't really matter. Right, we're gonna give our gelatinous cube a a domino mask because you wear a mask when you're robbing a bank. And we're going to put some bags of money inside, and he's going to be trying to get away. Now, how I'm going to make that work, I got to be careful about the running away. Like I say, they move very, very slowly, or relatively slowly. They don't run. Maybe we can have the bank guard is in there. And he's reaching out with a hand that didn't get swallowed up. And let's make it maybe a little smaller so I can. I was thinking about drawing the inside of the bank, but I don't think I want to do that. I think what I want to do is have the exterior of the bank. And we can maybe have that's not working out size-wise for what I want. That's a little, maybe one of those pens with a chain on it. All right, you know what? Let's start drawing the cube, and then I can muse a little more. I figured I'd maybe have the bank manager. Maybe we don't want the bank. Maybe we do want the interior of the bank. Thinking. think maybe I want the bank manager to be on the phone, saying something like, yes, he's getting away, but very slowly. And we can put maybe a safe here. And then I will grab our gelatinous cube, move him lower, and make him a little bigger so he's taking up more space there. There we go. That's about it. That's our gag. We don't have to be too picky about that. So we'll go to the lines layer, turn on the black ink because I do my sketching in blue. Dave says we're die packing going off inside the cube. That would be a funny, if this was, that I'm going to say is one of those ideas that would be fantastic if this was a multi-panel gag. Little harder to sell as a single panel gag. Too many different things that need to be explained. The thing about a gag with something like a dive bomb going off is you really want to show the before and the after of it. Now here is another thing that's a little difficult. When doing a gelatinous cube, when I'm doing it for a regular old for a finished cartoon, something I'm going to sell, I am often working on multiple layers. That's how you get this kind of visual of a thing with something behind it, and or in this case, the front and back of the cube, and the policeman in between them, is to use the layering to draw lines and do colors on layers between them, so you can well, you know how I often use the opacity to lower the intensity of a color? What I will do sometimes, here, let me just show you an example. So I might draw a guy here, and even a sample gelatinous cube, or our gelatinous. You can use our gelatinous cube. So I might want to put the gelatinous cube is going to be some kind of green color. So here on that color layer, I'm going to very quickly and roughly fill in the green. Like that. That might be the green we use. But you see how that blocks out the everything that's inside it. But if I drop the opacity of that, you can start to see what's in there. And so by doing that, you can create the illusion of a thing being within a thing or behind a thing. And I don't know, maybe that's what I'll do here too. A quick and dirty version. All right, but let's take that out now. We're not done drawing yet. I think, though, having said that, that's what I'll do. Is that this cube, just the front part of the cube, is going to be on this layer. So this guy's hand, which is sticking outside of the cube now, is going to get drawn on this layer. And this little movement these little speed lines go there, and that's all I'm going to draw on this layer. I'm now going to create a new lines layer. Undo that. I just combined those layers accidentally. The beautiful thing about working digitally is you can change your mind about stuff like that. Oh, I did, didn't I? Yeah, boo. All right. So those go together, and we're going to create a new layer for doing other lines. Everything else is going to be in that layer behind those. So that's where we will come to our... Also, besides the coloring thing we're going to do, I'm going to use a thinner line to draw our things that are inside the cube. Now, this is all on a layer behind the main layer. So I can do that. I can even go back and erase it without erasing the top cube layer, because this is a whole new layer. And now I want to make sure that these lines will come up there. We also want the money bags. Again, I'm going to make those a little thicker lines, but not as thick as on the front layer. To give a little bit of sense of depth to that. And over here, the same thing. And we'll finish drawing our poor little guard. Remembering that he's floating, he doesn't have to touch on the ground, he's actually up in the air. There we go. And then over here, we're going to have our bank manager. I'm going to give him a mustache. Why? I don't know. I just feel like that's what he deserves. He's going to be on a old wired telephone because he's a crusty old bank manager. I'm thinking about the joke, the way to phrase this joke, right? He's getting away with my money and my guard is one way to do it. In fact, that's my first thought about it. The second thing is he's getting away with the money and the guard, but not, you don't have to worry, hurry. Nah, he's not very quick. I mean, something like that. That's a terrible way to phrase it. But that could be the way to phrase the gag, is some way around that. Hello, police. We've just been robbed. He's getting away with $1 million and my bank and my guard. Take your time, though. He's not going anywhere fast. Yeah, the phrasing on that's hard. All right, come on. Oh, it's split. That's why. All right, I'm now doing the thing I sometimes do. This app, Procreate, will allow me to draw a roughly round thing. It will turn it into a actually smooth round thing, or I can make it a perfectly round thing, a circle. And that's what I want to do here. I want this to be that, so I can come in here like this. And we can draw the other half of the, oh, I guess I need to do that on another layer back, because it's going to be behind the policeman who's on this layer. Just looking up at the time, I'm now feeling myself getting a little too drawn into this drawing. Now you can see those are overlapping, and you might worry about that, but I've now put those on a third layer. So when I color in the second layer, it will go over that. There we go, and in here we're going to have some piles of money, unlike the kind you find in any real bank. And safe deposit boxes. Like so. All right. Woof! That's awfully complicated looking. In order to make this easier, I'm going to turn off that layer. Oop, so you can see. I'm going to turn off. You know what? I'll start at the top. I'll turn off the top layer. Turn off the second layer. That's all that's there on the third layer. Oh, did I draw that on the sketch layer? Curse my eyes. I didn't want to do that. Well, what am I going to do about that? I'm not going to worry about it, because this is the kind of thing that it's supposed to be fast, and I've fallen off that horse right now. All right, so let's come up above in just the top layer. I'm going to go back to that kind of light green, and I'm going to do just what I said before. I'm going to fill in this entire cube with the green. I'm not even going to use my gloaming brush for this. I want this just to be a solid green. There we go. Now I will also add a few stripes of white on it as reflections, like that. I will also, on this coloring layer, switch to my gloaming brush that I use to get that markery, crayon-y feeling. I'll also use the eraser to uncolor the hand that's sticking out here. But I'll use a gloaming brush to color there. Alright, same thing we usually do there. Quick. Then I also use a dark blue, kind of a navy blue, for the uniform. Now, I'm going to turn off that color layer entirely. I'm going to add another layer. See here, 17. Oh, let's see. So this thing that right now says colors is our top line layer. Layer 18 is where the colors are. I'm going to turn off the colors. I'm going to turn on what it says layer 17 right now is those lines. So I'm going to color what's on that layer, which means I've still got that blue. I'm going to do the blue for, I'm also now going to add a new color layer, what's now layer 19. Boy, this is going to be confusing for some folks. I hope that for some folks this is instructive, and for people for whom this is confusing, I apologize. And we are going to do the guard's uniform in that dark blue. Same thing with the hat. We're going to make it more like a black, a faux black as we often use. For the brim of the hat and the shoes, we'll come down to a dark brown for the soles of the shoes. And got our fleshy flesh tone, or pinky Caucasian flesh tone. There, I guess we're also going to do this hand because it's going to need it as well. There we go. We need to put in the whites of his eyes. No, you can't see that. Here's a way for you to see that. If I turn off the background white, you can see that there's no whites in his eyes. So we need there to be. So I'm going to put in white there. And what else do we need? We need some gold here for his badge on his chest and his hat. We need some, we'll give him some reddish hair, orangish hair, because it's a good contrast. We need a brownish color for the sacks of money. Like so. It's looking good. I'm going to come back, add that in the mouth. And we're going to need to come over to our bank manager also and do some coloring on him. It looks a little bit like Mr. Sprocket, Spacely Sprockets from the Jetsons, a little bit. Use that there for the phone. We will give him a red power tie and maybe a greenish suit, just so we start adding a couple of different colors in here. Guess the head of the bank might wear a green suit to represent money. There we go. And then I want to, I want to use a blue gray for the inside of the vault. All right, and then I'm going to turn on that last layer, which I didn't mean to use the sketch layer, and I need to create a color layer below that. And I can come in and do the same thing here. I can do the grays, and here you can see where um, yeah, because I'm using the gloaming, you can still see through it some. That is troublesome. Oh, Gelatinous Cube, you're always troublesome in these quick drawings because we need to do all these special effects. There we go. All right. Do that. That's quickly enough taken care of. There it is. Done. No fuss, no muss. Then we come back to that color layer. What else do I want to do? I want to put a gray on there. And I want a couple of other gray colors to show the vault. Starting to really want to speed this up here so that we can finish this and do, I'm going to do 3 drawings in an evening. I don't want to linger too long on any of them. The whole point of this is for it to be quick and fun. More intensity on the bank manager. He needs more intensity. And then one more bit of gray, or one more kind of gray, to fill in the rest of the vault, like that. And again, we want to have some money green, different shades of green to heighten the fact that we are looking at different sides of this object. And I don't know, just some extra colors in there to show that there's something happening in there. There we go. All right. Whew. Now we make a little bit of the magic happen. Now we turn on that color again. Here, we're going to stop. Let's do that again so you can see the whole thing. Look at that. I'm going to turn on this color. It's going to block everything, but then I'm going to lower that opacity, and we're going to see through it, and we see that inside the gelatinous cube is the guard. And now I just need to come up to this top layer again, switch back to my inking brush, and we got to have whatever our manager is saying. He's going to say, hello, police. I think I want that to be a smaller line weight. Hello, police. Probably don't need the hello police in there. One of the things when you're doing single panel cartoons, one of the big processes about it is putting down the writing, and then your first instinct almost always is going to be to write too much. So paring it away to what you really need. It's getting away with $1 million. And my bank guard. There we go. And that is going to be our gag. I'll put my little stand down here in the corner. And we have a gelatinous cube on a bank robbery. And a peek behind the scenes on how some of these creative effects are done and how the thinking goes when you're doing a cartoon like that. Boop, 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 doop, doop. He's adjusting my guard slowly. Officer Moneybags. All right, so there we go. Drawing one, done. Many things that I wish I'd done a little differently, not least of which putting all those lines on the sketch layer so that those blues really can't get taken away easily. But having said that, I think this is a pretty... I would work on this gag and maybe find a way to use it if I had a market for it. This is going in... I have a folder full of, these are good ideas, you should do these up fully one day. This will be in there. A good gelatinous cube joke is worth its weight in gelatin, which is about what you get paid for doing D&D cartoons. So, let's go. We got a bunch of people here. Raven Laura, thanks for coming. Leia, I see you popped in on your break. Good to see you. Of course, Becky's still here, and Dave is still here. We're having fun. Okay, I'm going to now come back here and turn off round one entirely. We're going to go to round two. Try not to make that sketch layer mistake. Although, to be honest, I made that because I was messing around with lots of different layers. You want to be careful when you're doing that. Not because it's dangerous, but because it's easy to make a mistake of drawing something on the wrong layer or putting a layer in the wrong place. And then you've got to, first of all, you got to figure out where the problem is, which is sometimes could take me 10 minutes if I have enough layers, is to figure out where the problem is. And then sometimes, like in that case, if I'd wanted to do that again, if I'd wanted to get rid of those blue sketches, I really would have had to throw that layer out entirely and draw that what's on there again, because I could not go in there and erase those blue lines, only those blue lines. So yeah, when you're working with multiple layers, there's so many things it opens up so many levels of possibility for details and things you can do to move things around and reuse different parts of the image in different ways. But it also means you have to just be a little more mindful of what layer you're working on and where the layers are stacked. Anyway, so having done all that, let's turn on our random encounter table again. And, excuse me, let's go and roll the dice and get another image. So we're going to come back here, and we're going to go once or twice a third time. This is a 2 for the Who. All right, lots of low rolls tonight. What are we going to get for our what? Once or twice a third time. 5. 5 is bigger. 2 and 5. So that is a Minotaur Bricklayer. So you may remember that Bricklayer was on the list last week, and whatever it came, I don't remember what it came up with, but it wasn't particularly inspiring, so we did something else. Minotaur Bricklayer might, there's possibilities for there. I was kind of thinking that a Roper Bricklayer would be very funny. Gelatinous Cube Bricklayer also would have been funny. Or, the gag would have come easily. But I'm not going to shy away from the Bricklayer this time. We're going to do it. I'm going to come in here. We got the pen set on the right color and the right type of pen and the right layer. So it's time to draw us a Minotaur Bricklayer. Now, it doesn't have to be that the Minotaur is the bricklayer, right? Though the gag, maybe there are no rules to this anyway, right? But when I'm doing this for ideation uh, purposes, those are just two things that would need to be part of my idea. So I'm thinking right now, again, zooming in so we can do a quick sketch, that I might have a bricklayer here, a guy with a brick and a trowel and a brick wall that comes up here, and the Minotaur is just charging right through. Pow! Charging through the the brick wall, and bricks are flying everywhere, and our bricklayer is surprised or unhappy. Probably both. Right? That could be it. If that was it, I have a rough sketch there that I could work with, though that looks really crazy to probably everyone. The Minotaur was in a maze, so that's actually uh, um, I'm liking that. But I'm thinking if we keeping this kind of interpretation of it, where the wall is a maze wall, and the bricklayer saying something like, "Every time I repair the maze walls, out goes Johnny." Maybe Johnny's not the best Minotaur name, but for goodness sake, Johnny, just use the just solve the maze like everyone else. That's the way to phrase that. All right, so I'm going to zoom out there. I'm going to zoom in here a bit so I can get a so now I'm going to do this so I can get those walls to match up. As if this was a single wall, that's what it would be like, and then I'm going to break it behind there. And then, tell you what, I'm going to take the whole thing and I'm going to, okay, stop it. Stop that. I'm going to flip it horizontally so that he's coming out here, which means I'm going to have to do a little bit of resketching, but that's all right. But that's going to let me do this, and I'm going to put a sign over here which says Charity Brick Maze. And then our guy here is going to be saying, what's a good name for our Minotaur? And think about that, because I don't need to. See, now it can have horns going forward or horns going to the side. What's a good name for our Minotaur? Start pondering on that for me, would you? Group in the chat? That's your job here. And he's going to come here. The 3, 4, 5. And there can be some bricks flying all over the place. There we go. I can see what that is. Nikki's. Nikki's got possibilities. Maybe Sal, some kind of Greek name like that, or Minos. Maybe just Minos, so we don't even say Minotaur. All right, we'll worry about exactly what's being said later. Let's hop into the drawing. So I'm going to come up to my lines layer so I don't have those problems again. We're doing all the lines on one layer this time. And I will start with the Minotaur. Interestingly, I didn't put it down thinking it was going to be permanent, but I like the way his snout came out there. So that's going to be my line I'm confident in that I start with. And have the horns come out like that. Yeah, I mean, you can see the difference between the this and what we were doing with the gelatinous cube. That one with the requiring of specific layering and making sure nothing covered over another thing had to be much more specific and careful about what was going on. Here, I really can just kind of get into the drawing, and if there's something that's not particularly right, I could change it without having to worry about all the follow down problems. You see, I often will talk to you about that, about how you're picking the lines that you're most confident in because when you make a mistake or you realize you want something to be different, you'll have to change other things because of it. And we saw that a lot in what I was doing with the gelatinous cube last time. But here, I think maybe you can see that even if I wanted to change things, I could change something without really having to move much else around it. All right, so there is our Minotaur. Maybe I'll switch over and do our other character. He's just a working guy. He's a workaday bricklayer. Just there. It looks like a big poo right now. I'm gonna just own up to that. Right now, that looks like he's got a shovel full of poo. But when we color it cement color, we make it gray. That's gonna look right. Here's another thing that happens after you've been drawing for a while. I mean, the same thing happens with any kind of art or creative thing. After you've done it for a while, you can get to a half-finished stage and look, yeah, I see that doesn't that might be easily misinterpreted, but you know that if I do this to it, it'll be fine. So I'm pretty confident that that big turd on the spatula there is going to wind up looking like cement. All right, so here's one of those things. I want to get rid of those lines because this brick needs to come out front. I'm even going to draw it in an even thicker line because we want it to appear to be up front. You know what? I don't want that top one to be broken like that, do I? Yes, yes, I do. Now, making these lines line up on every other level so that the bricks are stacked. That's in fact that's the way I do that. I draw as many lines as I want layers, and then I'll do a line every other one like that. And that's how we get the effect. You could also just do it again. Just draw the lines like that and go erase every other layer. That's a little more complicated. That also works. You find a way that works for you. But let's get rid of all that. We don't need or want any of that. Come back here. Realize that because of how the wall turned out, I need to draw a little bit more of his thing. Now, Minotaurs have full tails like that. I guess this one does. Could give him. I mean, that's a full bull, a bull's tail, as opposed to a bullseye. Um, we could just give him a little nubby tail, but it's all right. So I'm going to do this, and we will get the idea of the wall. And we want some more bricks flying in the air. Maybe not exactly there. Bricks and little pieces of debris. It's even bigger for this one because, again, we want that one to feel closer. And there we go. And we will come to our sign here. One of the things that I didn't take a lot of of uh, um, art classes. I'm mostly self-taught, though I have taken some. And one of the things that was always tricky for me, and is still tricky, is perspective. We've got this wall is not straight on parallel. This wall is receding into the distance. And how do you make it so that it looks like it's receding into the distance? And you can go online and see things about two-point or multi-point perspective and how to draw it. It's a trick. It's not that difficult. It's not that easy. But one of the things that I never noticed, I never knew until I took a class, is that even when you're doing that, one of the things is that although these lines will recede into the distance, let me come back here like that, anything that's moving left to right is going to get smaller or bigger, depending. Anything that's going up and down is still going to be straight up and down. Unless you're doing some kind of perspective that involves the up and down. But if this is a flat horizon line, then anything that's going up and down, anything that's, when you look at it straight on, is up and down. When you look at it at an angle, still straight up and down. I don't know if that fascinates anyone out there, or if everyone's like, of course, Stan, we knew that. What kind of artist are you that you didn't know that? I didn't know that. Didn't know that for a very long time. Of course, now I have known it for a long time, but I do remember that was that was a big revelation when I learned that. Let's see. So I'm going to change this to say, can you solve the brick maze? Can you solve the brick maze? And then we've got our guy over here who's still not very happy. And what have we come up with? Anything other than Ferdinand, Nikki, Thesis, Theo? Theo! Go with Theseus and Theo. That's a good. I like that, playing off there. Alright. So I was going to say. Damn it, Theo. Just solve the maze. Like everyone else. And here I'm going to use my rope tool and I'm going to move this line so it's more in the center. There we go. Just solve the maze like everyone else. There we go. Okay, let's do some coloring, shall we? Ravenlore says you didn't know. See? So now I've taught you something. Not only are you entertained, you are educated. So we're going to come here again. We're going to grab our gloaming brush. I'm going to go to the colors layer. And I'm going to turn off the sketch layer since I did not mess that up. Oh, you know what? I need to go back to my lines layer and add a little bit extra. Turning off the sketch layer showed me some of the places we just need a little bit extra to to make things look right. I don't know if you can hear it right now. It's summertime, and there are kids in the park running around and squealing. If you hear anything like that, like kids screaming, it's no one's in trouble. They are just having fun in the park. And there are parents all around, and everyone's okay. Mostly. Add a couple of these lines on the bricks to make them just stand out a little more. Alright, and our guy back here. Let's give him a little I'm mad. That's too much. Too much. Nope. It's now, I mean, that's looking like a turd. Guess we'll just give him sweat bullets to show he's mad. Mad! He's mad as hell. He's not going to take it anymore. Well, he doesn't really have much choice. Okay, that'll do. Now we come to our colors layer, and we go to our gloaming brush, and we're going to pick a reddish brown. We'll start with a red and bring it over closer to the brown for our bull. Make the brush a little bigger. And I'm still doing that shape within shape coloring to get that textured little bit of extra feeling of texture. Tell you what, I can already see that while I like this color, I've made it a little too dark. So we're going to be dropping the opacity on this round too. I'm going to go for more of a orangey brown, orangey yellowy brown for the legs and tail. And a faux black for the end of the tail and the hoof. What else? What else? So we've got to do our guy here. Drop the size of the brush back down a bit. He's for sure ticked off. We'll give him purple's a good angry color. Nothing else in this is likely to be purple. Let's see. Maybe camo green or an army green. The top will brown pants. We'll go back for that faux black for his shoes. There we go. Now, here we go. I'll make this gray and highlight it with another gray. And now for sure that's not a poop. I told you that when we're done, it's not going to look like a poop. Let's see. We're going to go again with a red for the brick wall. I'm going to color each line on its own in this same, we're saying shapes within shapes. I could do each brick its own, but I don't want to get that much emphasis on the individual bricks. But the idea that there are rows here, by just leaving that not fully colored in with a little space between it, it just emphasizes the fact that it's not a single shape. It's a bunch of things piled on top of each other. Here we go. And I can also come back in here and use a little darker one. And then I can pick some individual bricks to make them a slightly different color. Because if you ever look at a brick wall, it's very rare that a brick will, all the bricks will be the same. Do that. And what else do we need to do? We need to come in here and color the sign at least a little. No, I don't like that. I was going for something a little darker. I think I want to go for something more in the yellow-brown. There we go. I like that better. Can you solve the brick maze? Damn it, Theo! Just solve the maze like everyone else. What else? I want to add... I'm going to come in here with a little light blue on the horns. Maybe a little darker than that because we are going to lighten these colors some. Just so that they don't look... So again, we often say they look white. But putting that little blue on them made them stand out enough that they look white rather than look blank. And here we go. Same thing with his teeth there. Okay. I think that's... I was thinking about maybe going in... maybe I will. To add a little shading like we do. Not a lot, though. This is a very rough kind of image. A little darker than that. Ah, you can now hear dogs barking in the park. This is the wonder of my home. So many sounds of nature. And suburbia in the park. Do the same thing there. Okay, I like it. We got Theo, the Minotaur, just wants to get some lunch. Alright, so I can come back and go to my inking brush and my black ink. We're going to come back to our top layer. And I'm going to add a stand down here. I'm going to come back to our color layer. I'm going to realize that I didn't put any color on these little niblets that are floating around. So I will. I was thinking first about making them gray to kind of emphasize the mortar part, but I think that works well. Alright, and what's next? What's next? Oh, what's next is now, like I said, I think that all of that color is just a little too intense, so I'm going to drop the opacity and pull it back a little. And given that we went through what we did on the gelatinous cube drawing earlier, you can now see better what's happening here when I drop the opacity. I mean, all it looks like here is that the color's getting less intense. But you know now, because you're so smart, that it's letting you see through that to what's behind. It's just that here, there's nothing behind. I guess if I turned on the sketch layer again, you could look and see that you can't see through that. The more I turn the opacity down there, the more you can see through to the sketch layer. But again, you knew that because we did that earlier. I want to drop that to 85. Usually where I get to is somewhere between 85 and 90%. I'm just about 10 or 15% too overwhelming with the colors I pick. There we go. A Minotaur and a Bricklayer. Drawing number 2. All right, so take a little break. And I'm gonna. I've got the. It's been a little hot here, so I have the fan running, but that also kicks up a little bit of dust. Also, it gets the fan blows and catches my glasses and goes to my eye, so I start to have a little bit of teary eyes. Okay, 2 drawings down. Let's do one more, shall we? Shall we? Yes, let's. So I will close out round 2, turn on round 3, set us up so we have the right color and the right brush, and we're on the right layer, and we're going to turn on the random encounter tables. And we're going to go back and do one more drawing. So time to go to the die roller one last time and see what it gives us for our 3rd random encounter. That's why I named the show that. All right, here we go. Once, twice, a 3rd time. And 5 is our who now. It gave us a 5 for a what. What's our what? That's a terrible sentence. Once or twice, a 3rd time. 3 is our what. So we're going to come back here. We're going to see 5 is a roper. And 3 is a beach vacation. Roper beach vacation. Again, for those who may not know D&D so well, a roper, which we've done here on the show several times, is basically, again, I'll just do a sketch to explain it. It's a stalagmite-ish creature with a big eye, and then lots of tendrils that come out because it's a predator that can't move or is super slow to move. So it uses those tendrils to reach out. So somehow this roper has gotten to the beach. Alright, so let's clear that off there. And we're going to draw a roper at the beach. So again, it's kind of similar. We have that large stalagmite style. I think we're going to give that like a straw hat. And make him a happy roper. Whatever else is going on. So what would the roper? What can we do with the roper at the beach? Can be building a sand castle with a couple of tendrils. It's kind of like what we get with a same kind of gags we could make with an octopus. Right, there's just lots of tendrils. We could. See if I put the water here. That gives us an area to do that. We could have him. I was about to have him playing, just bouncing a beach ball with someone in the water, but I'm thinking if I have it reach over here, there could be a beach volleyball net, and there could be people over here, and he's reaching over to hit a beach volleyball. maybe what could we be doing with the water? Applying sunscreen. That's a good one. It could be, applying sunscreen to himself. That, in fact, could be the big gag. Is that I don't need any help applying the sunscreen. I'm trying to think of what to do with the water. If maybe just nothing. Maybe this is just holding up a summer book to read. And it could be say something and say, "I love the beach." There's so much to do. There we go. There's a gag and a concept all broken down. I mean, I'm sure. Now, again, this is the kind of thing that long term I would sketch this out and put it in my notebook and come back and think about it. The kind of things that we do here. What are the other things he could be doing? Could be fishing. Is that better than reading a book? I don't know. How many do I want to put in? How many are too many? After I do the sketch, I can rethink that. But this is all for the fun of it. This is a doodle show. This is a quick drawing show. Um, all right, so we'll start with our. Make sure I'm on the right layer. Yes. Start with our roper. And I've got the challenge with a roper, or one of the challenges, is to try and keep that stony feeling to them, right? They are definitely made of uh, rock-like substance. And you got something with a tentacle that's got rock-like substance, and it's just something you need to keep in mind while putting it together. And see how I'm doing these sharp corners and angles and straight lines. That's what helps to promote the concept that he's made of something sharp and stony. Like so. All right, now we're going to have the straw hat. Like so. We want to get rid of some of that so this tentacle can come out of there. The one that is holding the bottle of suntan lotion. And we'll just put SPF 50 on there. And then this tentacle is going to come from around back. To be laying on the sunscreen. This tentacle is going to be coming over here in front of whatever's going on with the sandcastle. I think that in this case, since I want there to be a kid over there, that's not working out. I want there to be a kid over here. I want to put the kid in before we put in the sandcastle, because the sandcastle is going to be kind of a iffy shape anyway. First of all, it's made of sand. Second of all, it's not done. They're working on it. But the kid has to look like a kid. Give him elf ears. And then come in here with a rough sandcastle-y shape. Like that. Let's put another tentacle coming back around behind that to help out. Let's see our book. Again, I'm going to draw the book first, and then, the thing about tentacles is they can get around and do a lot of things, but you want to make sure the things they're interacting with feel correct. So best to start with drawing the book and then add the tentacles. And I could still adjust the book if the tentacles were proving to me that I put it in the wrong spot or the wrong angle. And then we're going to come in here with this last tentacle, and definitely need a thinner brush here. I guess they're all going to be elves. Again, I'm going to do that rough circle, which becomes a less rough circle, which becomes a perfect circle. And then I want to put the... Well, again, since I'm not going to be worrying about layers, I need to make sure that I draw with what's in front of what in mind. Since I want that other character to be on the other side of the net, I need to draw the net first in this case. Go, and then I can put this. And I'm ignoring what I had there for the arms, just because, well, it's just I was looking at it and thinking, having him with his hands straight up like that was A, the same pose that she was in, and B, just not as interesting. So I switched it over. Now here I can draw his hand behind there. Just mix things up a little. If everyone's got the same exact pose, it gets a little boring. There we go. And now I'm going to put a back horizon line. And we're going to come here with a wavy line for what's happening here in the water. And it's looking pretty good. Yep, I'm liking how that's looking. I'm going to put some more dots on there so it looks like sand. And let's do that lettering here. Say I love. Oop, that is a little sloppy. I love the beach. There's. Here, I'm going to switch this one up to. There's so. Come on. There's so much. Emphasis on the much. There's so much to do. Again. That and that. There's our roper at the beach. Okay, I want to add a couple more little touches here. Let's turn the sketch off so I can see it. I was already reacting to. I knew when the sketch turned off that those would need to be a little more, just a couple more lines in there. That's looking good. I think I spent not quite enough line weight here. That kid needs an eyebrow is what I'm seeing. Okay. I like it. Oh, we need maybe just a little bit of motion there to show that. show the tentacles are moving on a little bit. Not a lot, just a bit here and there. All right. So we now go to our colors layer. We go to our gloaming brush. We're just looking up. You know, and I'm sorry, I didn't even look at what's going on in the chat room this whole time. You guys could have had brilliant ideas. Applying the sunscreen, one tentacle, listening. Okay, listening to a shell. That would have been good too. See, that's what I was talking about earlier with the, uh, if I was going to do this for a finished drawing, I would draw a lot of possibilities for the different things the Roper could be doing, and then I would choose from there. Instead, it was first choice, first whatever I'm thinking of. That's what we're doing, because this is a show. This is only going to do an hour and a half. Got to get her done. But yes, listening to a seashell would have been a very good choice also. Anything, again, kind of go back to what we were talking about before on the previous drawing. Anything that you can look at and easily interpret, especially here, because there are 8 things going on. Everything the Roper's doing has to easily be understandable at a quick glance with everything else that's going on around it. All right, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to go for a hay yellow and maybe a red band. Maybe also a red top on that. We need some flesh tone for our other beachgoers. No, someone across the park is not having a good time right now. I don't know if you could hear that, but one of the little kids just started crying. Maybe because they don't want to go home from the park. Maybe because, I don't know, someone stole their ball. Someone won't let them play. Someone's not playing nice with others. I really don't know. I can't see them. What else? What else? What else? So we need some hair over here. Let's go with a red head and a different kind of redhead. A blue-gray for the poles. Maybe a greenish color for the book. This little kid, we've got to give him a brown that's different than the tentacle brown, right? We don't want there to be any confusion between the tentacles and his hair. We also need that some kind of color for the volleyball. There we go. And now for the sea, the water, we're going to make the brush bigger. The front, of course, we'll have white foam for the front of it, but we can have bands of different blue to show that gives the hint that the water is of different depths and is moving and stuff like that. But we come back again to a lighter blue-gray for the foamy part of the tide. And, of course, we need to come up here with a light yellow that we're going to use to do the beach itself. The sand. There we go. I don't think I want to do anything with the sky. I think that's good enough. What else do I want? I think, though, this little kid is seeming... That eye is just looking weirdly empty, so... That's better. And then I think I'm going to give our... He's a monster, right? He gets a red eye. If there's anywhere that I really, weirdly, think needs a little bit of a shading, it's this hat, so that it doesn't feel like it's just a flat band. It's got some texture to it. Everything else looks like it's probably okay without some shading. So I will go back to the lines layer, go back to my inking brush, and we'll put a stand down here. And say we have our Roper day at the beach. Beach vacation. I don't remember exactly what it was that I said in something like that. But there we go. Roper at the beach. Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. Oh, I see I've gone blurry in the camera again. If I do that, that didn't help. Oh, I hate when that doesn't help. If I do that again, cover it up, turn it away. Didn't help. I ordered a new camera this week. Prime Days at Amazon happened, and there was a deal on cameras. So deals on the kinds of camera that I use to do this with. So I ordered one. Hopefully within a few weeks that will arrive, and I'll have it set up, and we will no longer have this thing where I go blurry all the time. Maybe. There we go. 3 drawings. 3 drawings make for a fun hour plus of random encounters. We had a Roper at the beach. We had a Minotaur and Bricklayer. I look at this as we scan back now. I see this is all very red. I really kind of should have found a way to work a few other... like even the brown that I choose. Remember, while we were doing it, the brown, I specifically chose a reddish brown. But now this comes on, I'm like, wow, that's just a very red drawing. There's nothing wrong with that, but if I were tweaking it, that's one of the things I'd tweak. So we have the Minotaur and the Bricklayer. And our first drawing, of course, was a gelatinous cube bank robbery with extra sketchy lines because I drew on the wrong layer. So there we go. That is our that's our show for the week. Oh, I was going to put this down, but I don't want to do that because I have another thing. As I come over here, back to just me. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you, Becky and Ravenlore and Dave. Linnea was here for a little while. I know there have been some other folks who are random oddities, I see here. There were other folks watching, maybe still watching. If I look at the little count here on my screen, thank you all for coming. If you are watching on replay, thank you for coming too. I hope that as I say at the beginning of the show, I hope that you're maybe grabbing some pencils and some drawing implements and having some fun too. You don't have to draw the same thing I'm drawing. You can draw whatever you want, whatever your heart desires. We're just having fun. So one thing I do want to talk about here before we go is that there is currently a Kickstarter going on. If you come here and you hang out here for an hour, you at the very least a little bit like my cartoons. Well, there's a Kickstarter going on right now. To simplify everything, I got the URL dammitowen.com, which will take you to the Kickstarter page, where we are kickstarting a collection of what I call Damn It Owen cartoons. They're very similar to these in that they are Owen K.C. Stevens, very good friend of mine and business partner, right now is fighting cancer and amassing a very big medical debt because of it. So we're trying to think of projects we can do which will raise some extra money, and of course his share can go in. We're trying things that he doesn't have to do work on that will generate money for him. So this is one of them. The Damn It Owen cartoons, as I was starting to explain, are cartoons I do when he makes a post online, sometimes when he says something in person, and it just strikes me like that needs to be a cartoon, which is a surprisingly frequent occurrence. And I try to, much like I do here, I just draw it. I draw it quickly. The goal is to get the whole thing done in half an hour or less, to get the drawing from start to finish, and then also post it online in that 45-minute to an hour range. Hopefully 45 minutes to an hour after he made his original post. My real goal is that it can seem like he drew it and I posted it like that, like I was ready with it. Anyway, the Kickstarter is going now. We're in the middle of the campaign. It has already hit its funding goal. It's going to happen. It funded in 90 seconds, as it says on the screen. The way Kickstarter campaigns often go is when you start them up, there's a flurry of activity at the beginning, and then there's the middle part where just people discovering it and people backing it just drop to a very, very slow trickle. And then in the last couple of days, you get a whole bunch of people come in, and so you got the last day and a half and the first day and a half are where most of the action is. But you need to keep pressing it through the middle so that people know to come back. So we are right now in what's called the doldrums, those middle doldrums. We're in the mid-campaign slump, and we could really use some help. We could use some help getting the word out there. If you hadn't heard of it, then please go over dammitowen.com. Have a look. If you like my stuff, which I'm guessing at this point you do, please share this. Share the link. Tell your friends about it. People who like these kinds of cartoons. There are going to be over 200 cartoons in this book. And also, for each cartoon, Owen and I have written a little director's commentary, what we were thinking about, or what a side joke, or what we didn't do, or just various different things. So let's say over 200 cartoons, or no, I'm lying there. So over 200 pages, not 200 cartoons. It's about between 120 and 150 cartoons. And little notes here and there, or here and there. Every one of them has something written about it, and usually both of us write something about it. So yeah, it's another peek behind the curtain. for the creative process. It's another chance to see cartoons that I've done that you may have missed, or maybe you've seen them and you'll enjoy remembering seeing that when it came online, and you can get the background story for some of it. So please check out dammitowen.com. That's DAMN, damn it, DAMNIT Owen, OWEN. All one word, no spaces, dammitowen.com. And I say, if you want to back it, that's great. We certainly would appreciate that. The thing I'm really asking you to do is to go have a look and to share it, to tell other people you know who might find this interesting that it exists, to help spread the word so that we can build up that audience and get the more people to commit here in the final days. We know that there's really nothing we can do to make the mid-campaign slump speed up for giving, other than let more people know about it. We know that the fact of the matter is most of the people who haven't backed it so far, who are going to back it, will do so in the last day and a half. And if that's you, come on, man, what are you waiting for? No, I mean, it's okay. Just remember to come back in the last day and a half. And we appreciate that very much. I appreciate that very much. I know Owen does, too. We're hoping to just help to defray his medical expenses a little here and a little there. This is either here or there, depending on how you want to look at it. So yeah, dammitowen.com. Please come on. Please give it a look. Please share it with your friends. So until next time, I'm your cartoonist pal Stan, and I'll be here next week with another Random Encounters episode of Improv Cartooning. Hope you'll join me. See you then.